Can you solve this math challenge? Here's the question. Solve for the values of x and y, given that 1 over x plus 1 over y equals 1 over 23, wherein x and y are both integers. You can pause this video if you want to give this problem a try. And now, let's answer this question together. So, our goal is to solve for the values of x and y, given that 1 over x plus 1 over y equals 1 over 23, wherein x and y are both integers. Now, how are we going to answer this kind of question? Now, one way to solve this kind of question is, what we're going to do here is to eliminate the denominators x, y, and 23. Now, to do that, let's multiply all terms by x. And then let's multiply these 3 terms by y. Finally, multiply all terms by 23. So we have now 23y plus 23x equals xy. Now, let's rearrange some terms a little bit. So we have 0 on the left side, and it must be equal to xy minus 23y minus 23x. Now, in order to answer this question, we will use this trick, which is the Simon's favorite factoring trick, which is also known as SFFT. Now, how this trick works? It involves adding a constant to both sides of the equation so that factoring on one side can be accomplished. So we will use this trick to answer this question, or to solve for the values of x and y. Now, one thing to notice here is the right-hand side, xy minus 23y minus 23x. How can we factor this expression or this equation? Now, take note. What will happen if we expand or if we multiply x minus 23 multiplied by y minus 23? If we multiply these two binomial, we get xy minus 23x minus 23y plus 23 squared. And take note, this is exactly the expression on the right-hand side. We have xy, negative 23y, we have negative 23x, and the missing term is just 23 squared, which is equivalent to 529. So, using SFFT, or Simon's favorite factoring trick, what we're going to do here is to add 529 on both sides. And now, 0 plus 529 will give us 529, of course. And xy minus 23y minus 23x plus 529 is definitely equal to x minus 23 multiplied by y minus 23. Now, we're almost done. What we're going to do now here is to factor out the left-hand side, which is equivalent to 529. And take note that we want the values of x and y be an integer. Therefore, we need to factor 529 using integers, of course. Now, 529 can be factored as 1 times 529. Also, 23 times 23. It can be factored as negative 1 times 529, and also this can be factored as negative 23 times negative 23. So therefore, we have 4 major cases in this question. So the first case is when x minus 23 times y minus 23 equals 1 times 529. So this will give us the value of x minus 23, it must be 1, and y minus 23 must be 529. Now, solving for the values of x and y here is very easy. On the first equation, let's add 23 on both sides. This will give us the value of x as 24. Now, on the second equation, let's add 23 on both sides. This will give us the value of y must be 522. Now, we have one pair of x and y. So, if x is 24, y must be 552. And now, if we rearrange these factors like this, we have 529 times 1. If we do that, x now becomes 552 and y becomes 24. And these are two possible solutions for x and y. Now, how about on the second case? On the second case, we have x minus 23 times y minus 23 equals negative 1 times negative 529. It follows that negative 1 must be equal to x minus 23 or negative 529 equals y minus 23. Now, solving for the values of x and y here is, again, very easy. On the first equation, let's add 23 on both sides. This will give us the value of x must be equal to 22. And on the second equation, if we add 23 on both sides, we get the value of y must be equal to negative 506. And again, on the first equation, if we rearrange the left-hand side as negative 529 times negative 1, then the value of x now becomes negative 506 and the value of y must be 22. So again, we have another pairs of x and y. Now, how about on the third case? On the third case, there's no choice. X minus 23 must be equal to 23. Also, y minus 23 must be equal to 23. And now, let's solve for the values of x and y again. Add 23 on both sides. This will give us the value of x must be 46. And also, y must be equal to 46. And again, we found another pairs of x and y. Now, how about on the last case? X minus 23 must be equal to negative 23 and y minus 23 equals negative 23. If we solve for the values of x and y, we get that x must be equal to 0 and y must be equal to 0. So again, we found another pair of x and y. For x and y rather. Now, going back to our equation, we have 1 over x plus 1 over y equals 1 over 23. And if x is 24, then y must be 552. You can check that 1 over 24 plus 1 over 552 must be equal to 1 over 23. You can check this one. And the rest is okay. But the sixth one, we have x equals 0 and y equals to 0. This is not possible because x and y are on the denominator. And x and y cannot be equal to 0. Otherwise, 1 over 0 is undefined. Therefore, x equals to 0 and y equals to 0 is not part of our solution. Therefore, we only have 5 possible pairs for x and y. And here they are. And as always, we are done.